Let's talk about Dallas. Dallas Cowboys are now, what are they? 3-5.
3-5. Yeah.
They're 3-5. Things are starting to look down in Dallas. I don't feel like Mike McCarthy is long for the job. I felt like when Jerry Jones went out there and hired him, he thought, "Hey, I'm getting a former Super Bowl winning coach. I'm getting a guy that's been a thorn in our side in the NFC for years, and I'm getting a guy that's overall going to fit like a glove into my system, into my game plan." What were your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys being 3-5? Where do they go from here? Um, there was an interesting clip that I'll probably save for tomorrow's show that I want to play actually. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Dak Prescott and the Cowboys moving forward?
I think that this team is they're if we and I like using this word, they're a shit show, Malik. That's what they are. And this is a team where they had a high hopes. Go look at 2 years ago, man. They were in the playoffs. This team was consistently in the playoffs. But you pigeonhole yourself by signing these dudes like a Dak Prescott to a major contract. You pigeonhole yourself by not adding to your offensive line. You pigeonhole yourself by losing your defense coordinator, then losing your offense coordinator. That's how you pigeonhole yourself. So for a guy like Jerry Jones, I think that this is how he's running his organization. And my concern is he says, hey, we're not giving up on the season, nor should you, right? You're 9 weeks in the season. You need to instill some hope. But to say that you're going to be buyers at the trade deadline, to say that, we've got some moves in store that are really, it's going to fix our team. Malik, what the hell is going to fix your team? Your team is 3-5. Your team is getting beat up week after week. And it's not just from injuries. Obviously, Mike Parsons isn't there, but you got dog walked by the Lions at home. You got dog walked multiple times. This game against the Falcons should have been your game. You were in this game. And that's what I think my mind goes to is what's going to change this team. And I don't know if Mike McCarthy's the guy for this job, but he's also a guy that hasn't necessarily done a terrible job. I think that Mike McCarthy, albeit I am of the belief that you may need to bring somebody in, I think that he would be a scapegoat. And the reason why I say that is I see the way that these dudes, the players, interact with Mike McCarthy. They like Mike. They do. They stood on the table for Mike McCarthy this offseason. They said, hey, on social media, they said, well, he was getting battered and bruised on social media. These dudes stood behind him. So I don't know if it's Mike McCarthy being the issue. I think that it truly is a Jerry Jones thing. I truly think it's a Dallas thing. It's a weird phenomenon, but they just can't get over the hump. And that's where I think that they're okay with these changes, the Dan Quinns, like I said, the losing Kellen Moore. And that's where my mind goes to saying, hey, this offseason, what can you do to just add more talent to the team? Because you got a Micah Parsons, and their defense was truly reliant last year on a Parsons, was truly reliant on the turnovers. Turnovers are a thing in the NFL. You can't be reliant on that. You can't. Year over year, that changes every single year. Statistically, it is the most, year over year, biggest change in the NFL. Turnovers are. So I think that this team, they really have to. They bought into Dak Prescott. And if you're not going to move off of him because of this contract, you just have to surround him with the right talent. And that's something I don't think that they did, right? Rico Dowdle, I was a huge fan of him coming out of college.
Mm-hmm.
Is he your running back one? No. Like Zeke Elliott.
Staying home for being told that he would be demoted or he wouldn't be active, and then he threw a temper tantrum, and then he was told that he wouldn't travel with the team. It's just a crap show all around.
It is. And that's the part that where did they go from here, man? They're in a bad spot. They are. But at the same time, at least you still have some of your foundational pieces. Go sign Michael Parsons to a big deal. You got Dak Prescott, who's a fine quarterback. You got CeeDee Lamb. It really is this offseason. This is your window, and you do kind of have to treat this like a thing of, hey, maybe you give up some of your later draft picks. Maybe you do build for right now. Maybe you do take the Rams approach and kind of go all in on this core, because it would be a disservice for your team to just look into the future, say, hey, well, we'll figure that out in the future. No, I wouldn't fire Mike McCarthy.
You wouldn't?
I wouldn't right now. I wouldn't. And I think this is an organizational issue. So
let's just call it what it is. I mean, I feel like we're tiptoeing around. I feel like you're tiptoeing around. I feel like everybody's tiptoeing around it. They made a mistake signing Dak Prescott long-term without letting the season play out. And they should have had him and Mike McCarthy basically play on a prove-it year. That's what it should have been. And they rushed it, and they made Dak Prescott the highest paid. And now they're probably looking at it like, damn, we put our foot in our mouths. I mean, for goddamn sake, you got Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs having podcasts. I think it was Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs having podcasts and leaving their
Yes.
quarterback out of the top 10 conversation. So that should tell you everything that you need to know. You know,
Mhm.
I don't think I think that it's bad. I think things are poor in Dallas right now, and I think heads are going to roll at the end of the season. I think Mike McCarthy's head is going to roll. There's no way Mike McCarthy survives the season.
And that's my issue with this. Like, I do think Dak Prescott is a fine quarterback. He is. Is he elite? No. Should he have gotten that contract? No, I'm with you. And I think that's where the problem lies. Is you made a great point. This year should have been a prove it year.
Mhm.
Why did you tie yourself to Dak Prescott? Why did you tie yourself to a guy that hasn't shown you playoff success? And that's the issue. You tied yourself to him. So now it puts you in a bind. You've got to get rid of Mike McCarthy if this doesn't go well, because what else are you going to do? What's your other option? So I'm with you. And this is where my issue with this is, if they fire Mike McCarthy, the dude that isn't going to get the blame is Jerry Jones, and he should be. This is a fundamental issue with their team. They shouldn't have signed Dak Prescott, and you put yourself in this position to where you said, hey, you are going to be contenders now, and you're 3-5. So what's the next move? You're sticking with Dak Prescott. You have to, right?
Mhm.
So I think this organization, they just messed up big time. So
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. The fundamental issues that they have in the organization. Jerry Jones needs to look at himself in the mirror at the end of the year and say, "I need to step down, while somebody else maybe effectively run this organization." What does that even look like? Is it even possible? Is Jerry Jones even capable of stepping down and letting someone else lead while he stands by? I don't believe he is. But